Hey everyone, Season 9 of Diablo 4 just dropped on the full game, and let me tell you, things have definitely shaken up a bit. No new classes this time around, but all 6 are feeling pretty different thanks to some big buffs and nerfs from Blizzard. So if you're wondering which class to pick for the best run this season, you're in the right place. We're gonna break down which ones are absolutely crushing it, which ones are solid but not quite top tier, and which ones you might want to avoid if you're chasing that sweet meta. Alright, so here's the deal. S tier classes are the cream of the crop. These bad boys make clearing content a breeze and will help you unlock all the juicy rewards without breaking a sweat. Then we've got A tier, which are still good, don't get me wrong, but just don't hit that peak performance level like the S tier champs. And finally, B tier classes. They're fun and all, but if you want to dominate this season, you might want to think twice. Stick around because we're about to dive into who's hot and who's not in Season 9. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking classes in Diablo 4 Season 9. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Rogue and Druid. Alright, buckle up because now we're diving into the B tier classes of Diablo 4 Season 9, the ones that aren't quite top dog material but still pack some interesting tricks. These classes have their moments, but let's just say they might not be your first pick when you want to crush everything in sight. First up on the chopping block, the Rogue. The Rogue is like that versatile friend who can do a bit of everything but somehow never quite nails it perfectly. It's a jack of all trades, ranged or melee, crowd control, survivability, and mobility. It's got you covered. You can switch builds pretty quickly thanks to respec options, which is great if you hate commitment. But here's the catch, most rogue builds are so narrow and specific that if you stray even a little, things fall apart. And yeah, you'll need some serious concentration to keep up because you're basically juggling a dozen abilities while running circles around enemies. If you're not the kind of player who thrives on that level of mechanical dance, Rogue might just fry your brain. And don't get me started on the Death Mask of Nermatruk. It sounds cool, but plays like a wet noodle. Honestly, unless you are a rogue wizard who knows every single frame of every skill, it's safer to steer clear of rogue builds this season. The class feels like it's been nerfed into near obscurity, which is a real bummer for anyone who was hoping for a smooth ride. Now, sliding over to the Druid. Oh boy, the Druid. This class tries to bring the best of both worlds with melee and mage styles, and honestly, the area of effect damage can be pretty satisfying. Plus, Druids come with some tankiness and crowd control that make them a decent frontline option. And hey, you get spirit boons that can be game changers and companions to fight alongside you, which is pretty sweet. But the Druid's pace is more turtle than hare. Leveling feels slow and sometimes frustrating. Resource management can get pretty tricky too, making you feel like you're playing a weird balancing act. Compared to other classes, Druids just don't move around as fast, so if you love zipping around like a caffeine-fueled squirrel, this might test your patience. Also, the Druid is a bit gear dependent, so don't expect to breeze through without the right setup. Honestly, on the public test realm, which is like the test kitchen where Blizzard experiments, Druid felt kind of like the weakest kid in class despite buffs to its damage. But here's the kicker, it's one of those classes that might surprise you if you give it time. Blizzard is tinkering under the hood, so Druid has serious potential to climb the ranks in future seasons. For now though, both Rogue and Druid are hanging out in the B tier. Not terrible, not amazing, just somewhere in the middle. If you want to play them, be ready for some challenge and a fair bit of grinding. They definitely aren't the flashy crowd pleasers, but with patience, who knows? Maybe next season they'll be the dark horses we didn't see coming. The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Sorcerer and Barbarian. Let's get real for a moment. If Diablo 4 Season 9 classes were a high school prom, the A tier would be those students who aren't quite the prom king or queen, but definitely the MVPs of the night. Starting off with the Sorcerer, this class basically screams, I'm in control here. The Sorcerer's strength lies in battlefield domination with elemental powers that hit hard and fast. Whether you're throwing fireballs, zapping lightning, or tossing ice shards, the variety is legit. Plus, you don't have to stress about juggling complicated aspects all the time because the skills themselves pack a punch. That said, the Sorcerer isn't without quirks. The limited equipment slots kind of hold it back from stacking all those powerful legendary aspects, so you've got to make some tough choices. Also, your health bar is more like a paper shield. You rely heavily on your skills or magical barriers to keep you alive. If you're the type who hates waiting around, the sorcerer can feel a bit like a Netflix buffering wheel since it has less source generation than others and burns through elemental energy quickly, forcing pauses between fights. What's cool though is that the gameplay is pretty guided and user-friendly, especially for newer players. The straightforward elemental focus means you don't have to second guess whether you're supposed to cast ice or fire at any moment. That's a blessing and a curse. It makes the game accessible, but some builds might get repetitive. Because honestly, controlling the battlefield this well can feel like shooting fish in a barrel. Now, sliding over to the Barbarian, the class that shouts, "Let's get physical," up close and personal. The Barbarian is all about that raw melee power, charging headfirst into battle with an arsenal of weapons at your disposal. Thanks to the arsenal system, you can swap weapons on the fly, which opens up a lot of theory crafting for those who love tinkering with gear. Plus, having access to more weapon slots means more offensive legendary aspects, basically more ways to wreck shop. But before you grab your giant axe, be warned, the Barbarian doesn't do ranged attacks. If you like sniping from afar, this isn't your class. Also, the early game can feel a bit sluggish. It takes some time to get into the groove, and it's not just button mashing. This class requires planning and a good strategy to make the most out of its heavy-hitting potential. For players diving into Diablo 4 for the first time this season, Barbarian is a blast. There's something deeply satisfying about smashing things up close, and the class has that nostalgic Diablo charm. Plus, after the recent bug fixes and tweaks from the public test realm, Barbarian feels smoother and more reliable than before. All in all, both Sorcerer and Barbarian earn their spots in A tier. They bring solid damage, unique playstyles, and enough depth to keep you entertained. They might not have that S tier flashy perfection, but they sure make Season 9 a lot more fun to play. So, whether you prefer commanding the elements or swinging a massive hammer, these two classes have got you covered. The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Spiritborn and Necromancer. Alright, now we've reached the cream of the crop, the S tier classes of Diablo 4 Season 9. These bad boys are the real deal, the ones you want to flex with when you want to make a statement. Let's kick things off with the undisputed champion, the Spiritborn. If you enjoyed this class last season, prepare to fall even harder this time around. Spiritborn's versatility is insane, largely thanks to those spirit guardians that can either soak up damage or dish it out depending on how you build your character. What really sets Spiritborn apart is that you're not boxed into one playstyle, ranged or melee, you name it. Plus, with unique items like Balazan's Max Tlatl, almost any build you dream up will find some crazy synergy. Blizzard didn't just stop tweaking this class, they went all in, buffing its skills to make it even more powerful. So if you've been stuck or frustrated with endgame content, picking Spiritborn is like handing yourself a cheat code. Now, sliding over to the Necromancer, this class has that spooky charm that a lot of us secretly love. The Necromancer is all about playing it safe while commanding an army of undead minions to do the dirty work for you. It's a class that offers a ton of build variety, from bone-shattering melee builds to summoning hordes of skeletons or golems, and all feel pretty distinct from each other. I'll admit, I have a soft spot for Necromancer because it's the class I've spent the most time with over multiple seasons. My personal favorite? Summoning builds that just flood the battlefield with the undead. Nothing quite like watching your skeletal army tear through enemies while you chill safely behind. For newer players, the Necromancer is surprisingly friendly since your minions handle a lot of the action while you learn the ropes. That said, Necromancer does come with its quirks. Managing all the resources and different mechanics can get overwhelming, especially at higher levels. Cooldowns tend to be on the longer side, so timing is key. And if you want to push the limits in endgame play, you'll need a deep understanding of how your build and minions work together. It's not just summon and chill anymore. Both Spiritborn and Necromancer are highly dependent on equipment to really shine, and like most classes, they have a limited number of equipment slots for aspects, so making those gear choices wisely is a must. But when you nail that setup, these classes truly feel like gods on the battlefield. So there you have it, Spiritborn and Necromancer are the clear kings of Season 9's class lineup. Whether you want to flex your adaptability with Spiritborn or command a legion of the undead with Necromancer, these two classes give you the tools to dominate Diablo 4's toughest challenges. Trust me, once you get the hang of them, you'll wonder how you ever played the game without them. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.